it's Mickey, and in today's video I'm sharing with you my ultimate fall brunch. You know, fall is the best time to gather together with family and friends. There's so much to do. There's apple picking, pumpkin patches, and you just want to spend some good quality time together before all those holidays hit. So in today's video, I have some awesome recipes for delicious breakfast casseroles, some special drinks, and the perfect dessert to finish it all up. So if you are new here, I hope you'll take a minute to subscribe. I put out new videos every week about all things home.
One of the reasons why I really like to have brunches or late morning breakfasts is that you can do most of the work the night before. And when you get up, you just put a bunch of stuff in the oven and just wait for your family and friends. So today I'm going to show you what I'm going to be making for our upcoming brunch. So in my fall notebook, I have all the recipes that I usually use for gatherings and celebrations for fall, and I have some of the recipes that I like to have for breakfast. Now, truth be told, these are probably the same recipes that I like to use at Christmas time for, you know, breakfast on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. They are really good. My family loves them, and I have been making them for years. So the recipes that I'm going to be using for our breakfast casseroles are here in my book. Now the one of them I really don't have a name for. I've been making it for so long I just call it breakfast casserole. So we're going to be making that one. We are also going to be making a baked French toast recipe, which I really love. We use like brioche bread, and I found the most delicious pumpkin brioche bread at Trader Joe's that we're going to be using for this recipe. But to start us off, we are going to be doing this recipe for blueberry muffins. And the great thing about these muffins is that it really doesn't matter if you can find really good fresh blueberries. You can use frozen ones. So let's get started. So I have my oven preheating to 400 degrees. This recipe easily makes 12 muffins, so I have prepped my muffin tin here. I like to spray it and add the little cupcake liners. I just think that they work out really well, especially if you want to freeze these. They kind of just hold their shape better, in my opinion. So in this large mixing bowl, I have my dry ingredients. I have 2 cups of flour, a cup of white sugar, I have 2 teaspoons of baking powder and a little bit of salt. And the only thing I do a little bit differently than the recipe that I have in my book is I like to add a half a teaspoon of cinnamon. So go ahead and set your dry ingredients aside, and then in a smaller bowl you are going to add 2 eggs, and you're going to whisk these together until they are smooth. You're also going to add a half a cup of milk, and for baking I always like to use buttermilk. I just think it has, you know, a much richer flavor and it keeps your baked goods really moist. So we're going to add a half a cup of buttermilk. You're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. I just like to eyeball that. A little bit extra never hurt anybody. And then you're also going to add melted stick of butter. Then add your wet ingredients to your dry and mix them together until they are just combined. We are going to add in 1 pint or like 2 cups of blueberries. Today I am just using the organic blueberries, frozen blueberries that you can just find at Walmart. So we're just going to gently fold these in. And then just divide this batter into your prepared muffin tin. The best part of any muffin is the crunchy part that goes on top. So we are going to be making a topping for our muffins. In my bowl, I have 1/4 cup of flour, a tablespoon of white sugar, 2 tablespoons of brown sugar. I am going to add 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, and then you're going to need about 2 tablespoons or so of cold butter. We're just going to add our cold butter right into our mix, and we are going to start off with a pastry blender. Whenever I do this, I always start off with my little pastry blender here, but I end up in the end just using my hands. So we're going to start combining this all together, and then we'll sprinkle it on top of our muffins. So you're going to want your topping to look a little bit something like this, and then you're just going to take it with your hand and sprinkle it over each muffin top. Once they're all nice and covered, we're going to bake them in a 400-degree oven for about 18 to 22 minutes. This muffin recipe comes out perfect every time. If you are not a big fan of blueberries, no biggie. You can use the same base recipe and just add strawberries or peaches, bananas, whatever fruit that you like. For brunches, I like to have a selection of different fruit muffins because I really do think that a muffin is the perfect dessert for a brunch. Sometimes I think coffee cake can be a little bit too sweet, especially when you're having like a French toast casserole like we're having today. A good fruit muffin is just the right amount of sweetness to end a delicious meal. So each of the casseroles that we are making for brunch tomorrow need to sit in the refrigerator overnight once we assemble them. So the first one that we are going to be making is the French toast bake, which is absolutely delicious. Recently at Trader Joe's, I found this pumpkin brioche twist bread, which is delicious on its own. But I thought it would be absolutely perfect for this recipe because it adds a little bit of pumpkin to the mix and so perfect for fall. So I'm probably going to be using all of one of these packages and maybe just a few slices of the other one. You're also going to be needing 8 eggs. You'll need some milk. I like to use whole milk for this recipe. You'll need 1/4 cup of sugar, some cinnamon, and vanilla. First up is we just have to cut the bread into bite-sized pieces. I like to do about 1 inch, 1.5 inches. That size seems to hold up pretty well to the custard mix that we're going to be adding on top. So you're going to set your bowl full of your bread aside, and in another smaller bowl you're going to start cracking your 8 eggs. I always like to crack them first into a small cup just in case you get an egg that may not be as fresh as you want it. You don't ruin your whole mix. So you're just going to crack these and add them to your small bowl. So to this bowl, you're going to add your 1.5 cups of milk. Again, I'm using whole milk here, but you can use whatever you have around the house. I'm going to add 1/4 cup of sugar. I'm going to also add, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon. Maybe a little more there. And we're going to add about 1 teaspoon of vanilla. But you can also measure that with your heart. And then we are just going to beat this until it's well combined. So you're going to add your liquid ingredients into your large bowl of bread. Just pour it in there, and then you're going to just be sure to fold all of this bread into that mixture so everything is covered well. So I have my 9 by 13 pan here sprayed really well with non-stick cooking spray, and then you're just going to transfer this whole bowl of bread and custard into your pan, spreading it out. And making sure that all of those pieces are covered in the custard. So we're going to cover this dish with some foil, and we're going to put it in the refrigerator overnight. And then we're going to add a topping to this in the morning and bake it. So this next recipe is what I lovingly refer to as my Christmas morning casserole. I have been making this recipe for my family on Christmas morning since my kids were really small. It has so many good things in it. It has a lot of flavor and everybody loves it. So what you're going to need for this recipe is about a pound of sweet, mild Italian sausage. Of course, you can use hot sausage, but our family likes the mild, sweet Italian sausage. You're going to need 6 pieces of some really good white bread. This is Meyer's Italian bread. I've always used it for this recipe, and it holds up really well. Now you can add whatever veggies that your family likes. For our family, we like to add a little bit of red bell pepper, some green bell pepper, just a couple mushrooms, and I'm probably going to chop up about a quarter or so of this onion because this is kind of a large onion. You're also going to need 6 eggs, a cup and a half of milk. I'm using whole milk for this. You're also going to need about a cup or a cup and a quarter of some cheddar cheese. You'll need salt and pepper to taste and whatever other seasonings you want to put in there. You'll also need a couple dashes of Worcestershire sauce and a couple dashes of hot sauce. Now this does not add a lot of heat to this recipe, but it does add a lot of flavor, so you don't want to leave that out. So we are going to brown up our sausage. I just have my really big frying pan here with just a little drizzle of olive oil because the sausage has a little bit of fat in it. So we won't have to worry about it burning. And we're going to start to brown this up. And when it's about halfway browned, we're going to add our vegetables to the mix. We're going to start chopping our veggies. We're probably going to use about a quarter of each of the peppers. So I'm just going to slice them a little bit and then chop them up, not too finely, but finely enough so that they fit really easily in a bite-sized piece. Like I said, you can add just about any vegetable that your family really likes. I have made this with spinach and just cheese, but our favorite way to eat it is with the peppers. We are a big pepper family. I think peppers add so much flavor to whatever you put them in. Ew, look at that. I don't think I've ever seen a pepper that had mold in the middle of it. So we're gonna go in the refrigerator and we are going to get another pepper. So I am just going to add a little extra green pepper to this recipe because I only had a little leftover red bell pepper from a different recipe. And we're just gonna add those together. And then we're just gonna chop the rest of our veggies and put them in our bowl here. So So the sausage is about halfway cooked through, and we are going to add all of our vegetables. And we're going to cook this until the sausage is cooked through and the veggies are soft. This smells so good. To me, when I make this, I always think of Christmas morning. Such good memories with this casserole. So we're just going to saute these until everything is done. In a prepared 9x13 pan, you're going to take your 6 pieces of bread and you're going to tear them up and cover the bottom of the pan. Next, we will take our sausage and veggie combo and add this mixture right on top of the bread until everything is as covered as possible. On the top of the meat mixture, you're going to add your layer of cheese, and then in a small bowl, take your 6 eggs, a cup and a half of milk, salt and pepper. I also added a little bit of garlic powder and Mrs. Dash. I added a few shakes of Worcestershire sauce along with the hot sauce. Beat this all together until it is well mixed, and then you're going to add this on top of your casserole. Be sure to work the mixture into the layers beneath of it. Don't mix it, but just kind of wiggle it around a little bit to allow the egg mixture to sink all the way through. Then we're going to cover it with foil and put it in the refrigerator overnight. So good morning. It's the day of our brunch and I have taken our casseroles out of the refrigerator. I'm going to probably leave them out for about a half hour to 45 minutes before I start baking them. The closer they get to room temperature, the less time I'm going to have to bake them. And yes, I do have my Santa baby canister out. I am slowly moving Christmas up from storage, so we are going to be decorating together soon. But for now, we're just going to concentrate on our brunch today and baking off our delicious casseroles. So it's been about an hour that our casseroles have been out, and I am going to put our breakfast casserole in the oven because it's probably going to take a good 15 minutes longer than our French toast one, and I have a topping that I want to make for the French toast. So I'm going to get this in the oven and then I'll show you the quick recipe for the topping. So we're going to be making a crumble topping for our French toast casserole. So in this bowl I have 4 tablespoons of cold butter, I have 2 tablespoons of brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of white sugar, a teaspoon of cinnamon, a little bit of salt, and I also added 2 heaping tablespoons of flour. So I'm just going to take my pastry blender and get this started. And I usually, like I said yesterday, I usually end up using my hands because honestly, they're like the best kitchen tools around. So we're just going to start blending this all to create our crumbly topping. So this is our French toast casserole out of the refrigerator. It's been sitting out for about 45-55 minutes, and we're just about to get it in a 375-degree oven. We're going to bake it for about 45 minutes. But before we stick it in the oven, I'm going to add this crumbly kind of streusel topping. So it has like a nice crust and sweet topping to it. So we're just going to take our time and divide this throughout the casserole, and then we'll get it in the oven. I wanted to give you a quick look at my brunch table. I kept it so simple. It's just going to be me and 3 of my friends. We're going to have brunch, sit around and talk, and then we are going to head up to the Luckett store in Luckett, Virginia, which If you followed me for any length of time, you guys know that is my favorite antique store, and they have opened everything up with all of their Christmas merchandise. Their design house, I think, will be open, so I am super excited about going there. But this is my table setting. It's very simple. This is like my favorite table runner I got from Walmart. I have some matching napkins here with little pumpkin napkin rings. I have my little pumpkin appetizer dish that I found at Target, and these are just some of my dishes that I've had forever. I just wanted to keep the table really simple so we don't have that much to clean up before we head out the door. So I have my casseroles in the oven, and I want to share with you my favorite fall drink. So this has been my favorite fall little drink like for years, and I like to make it, you know, if we have a special brunch or if you're feeling especially fall, especially like around Thanksgiving and things like that. So I used to make it with just regular chai tea, but I recently found this spicy chai mix at Trader Joe's, and it really does add a little something special. So for this, you're just going to need your tea or your chai mix. You'll need some cinnamon sugar. You're going to need a large pitcher that we're going to fill with ice, and you're going to need apple cider. You'll also can use some spices, which is completely optional. It really doesn't need it. It just kind of makes it, you know, look pretty and a little bit more special. So in this bowl, I have some cinnamon bark, I have some cloves, and I have some star anise. So I have some boiled water, and we're going to get making our special fall drink. So to a cup or a measuring cup, you're just going to add 2 scoops of your mix. And then you're going to add at least 4 ounces of fluid. I like to add a little bit more than that. So I'm going to add like a full cup of this. You want to mix it so it dissolves. And then you're going to take it and pour it over some ice. And you can let it sit a little bit so it cools off. Give it a little mix. And we're going to let that sit for a couple minutes to get it nice and cold. And then we are going to fill it up the rest of the way with some apple cider. More ice to it. And then we're going to add a little bit of our spices right on top. So I'm just going to stick this in the refrigerator until we're ready to eat. I want to go change my clothes. We have about 20-25 minutes left on our casseroles, and my friends will be here any minute. So I've just taken the casseroles out of the oven. We're going to let them cool a little bit here on the island. We have one more thing to do to our French toast casseroles. We're just going to add a little bit of powdered sugar to the top. Just to give it a little dusting. It just makes it look even more yummy. I cannot even tell you how good my house smells right now. And I'm gonna serve this with a little bit of maple syrup on the side, but quite honestly, you don't even need it. It is just so yummy with that crunchy topping and the powdered sugar. I just cannot wait to eat it. So this is everything all laid out. I think this is plenty enough food for 4 ladies for brunch. This meal was so simple to put together. I love anything that I can do ahead of time and just put it in the refrigerator overnight and bake it off the next day. The blueberry muffins are just so good. They are perfect that go along with these breakfast dishes. The fruit and crumble topping really give it a simple light sweetness, which is the perfect end to your meal. I will put the recipes for each of these dishes in the description box down below for you. My friends have just arrived, so I'm going to go and make myself a plate. Thank you all so much for watching today, and I hope you try these recipes. So that's going to do it for me today. I hope you will join our communities over on Facebook and Instagram at My Bashful Life. And please don't forget to subscribe. I'd love to have you all back as part of our YouTube family. So until I see you in that next video, I hope that you love the life that you have, be kind to each other, stay safe, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.